Shout out to Caressa for sending me this article. And I must say, for a state, well, for the position that the ventriloquist dummy known as Mitch McConnell, that the position that he's in, that's a pretty average looking house. If y'all don't know what's going on here, you have some demonstrators who were standing outside of Mitch McConnell's house, basically protesting on the behalf of Breonna Taylor. And if you see the sign right there, it says Breonna couldn't sleep, neither should Mitch. I hope that they do get him out of his position as well, because he really hasn't done nothing for the state of Kentucky except fuel it. But when you look at the state, it looks run down as hell. Every time I talk about Kentucky, I immediately think of Owsley County, Kentucky. But they want him up out of there because he really hasn't done much for the state. And as far as Breonna Taylor goes, that's just a blip on the radar for him that he barely sees. So the article reads, and this is coming from The Hill. Protesters descended on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Kentucky home to demonstrate on an array of issues to commemorate Juneteenth. Activists with the Progressive Sunrise Movement, an environmental group that advocates for a slate of left-leaning issues, were seen making noise and holding signs reading "No justice, no sleep." No justice, no sleep, Mitch. You let our economy tumble into free fall, our people being gunned down in the streets by killer cops, and our planet being ravaged by your oil CEO friends. This Juneteenth, we're wide awake. In November, when we vote you out, maybe you'll wake up too. The group tweeted. Breonna couldn't sleep, neither should Mitch. A banner also read, referring to the fatal police shooting of Breonna Taylor, an unarmed black EMT who was killed in her home during the execution of a no-knock warrant in Louisville. The demonstration comes on Juneteenth, the commemoration of the end of slavery in the U.S. It also comes amid the backdrop of a national conversation about police brutality against black Americans after the police killings of Taylor, George Floyd, and Rayshard Brooks, among others. Not only are we wide awake to the problems that we face, Maxwell Farrer, age 29, told the Courier Journal, but we're also wide awake to the solutions that we need. We're not here to just complain on the internet. We're here to get solutions we need. We know from the hood to the holler, Kentuckians know we need change right now. McConnell has filed a resolution calling Taylor's death an apparent instance of unjust police violence. Apparent instance? No, call it what it was. It was flat out murder. That's what, let me keep going. The majority leader is also currently working to pass a Senate GOP bill that includes a list of police reforms, including mandating departments report their use of no-knock warrants. We will require new transparency and new reporting from state and local authorities so that surrounding communities and the federal government can all better understand how, when, and why this practice is used, McConnell said Wednesday during a press conference. McConnell has become a top target of Democratic lawmakers and activists alike over his refusal to consider a slate of House measures, including legislation that addresses issues such as gun control, health care, and voting rights. Democrats claim that instead he is prioritizing confirming 45 judicial appointments. The Kentucky senator is also up for re-election this November. He will likely face either Amy McGrath or State Representative Charles Booker in his re-election bid this year, though he will be favored to win re-election against either contender. Of course he will be, because he's been taking money to give to them poor rats that live in Kentucky. And I've talked about that so many times. Like, they got most of the money when it comes to a lot of bailouts and things of that nature. So I don't want to hear people talking about, Section 8, this is Section 8, that. Look at Kentucky. Kentucky is probably one of the most poor states in America. And most of it is due to Owsley County, Kentucky. I don't need to go into a whole diatribe about how poor Owsley County, Kentucky is. I've already tortured your eyes enough with pictures of Owsley County, Kentucky. And to be honest, Owsley County, Kentucky as a whole makes Pennywise House from it look like it should be in the suburbs. But hopefully they can vote Mitch McConnell out of there, because I'm personally tired of hearing his voice and seeing that rather odd look on his face, which is just basically his face. He doesn't really have to do much when he just sits there, and don't ever hear him laugh. Man, he has one of the most creepiest laughs in the world. But shout out to the people out there that's still protesting on behalf of Breonna Taylor, because a lot of people seem to think that we've forgotten about her. We haven't. We may have a lot on our plate, but we haven't forgotten, and that's what they want us to do, is they want us to forget. This ain't dying down anytime soon. At least I hope it's not.